All right, we're about to arrive at New Electric in Amsterdam, and I found out about Anne and New Electric when I was watching Fully Charged. And the second I saw it, literally the second I saw the episode, I dropped what I was doing, emailed Anne, and I was like, I'm going to be in Europe. I have to meet with you. Now, you can imagine when that episode came out, so many people must have reached out to him. I know they did. So he probably got just inundated with emails. So for a little while, I didn't hear from him, and I was like, oh, well, that's not going to happen. And then he reached out and said, sorry, I was just wading through the bazillions of emails that came in. I saw your email. I definitely want to meet. And so we're going to go meet him, and I'm so excited that we are. So can I just tell you?
Yeah.
Not a joke. I saw you on Fully Charged.
Yeah.
I was watching the video. About halfway through, I stopped the video and started
right in the middle.
and I was like, please, and I wasn't the first to watch it. Like, it wasn't the day it came out. So I was like, crap, I know that a million people are contacting you.
Everybody's doing it. Yeah,
and you must have gotten deluged from.
No, for sure. We're still kind of picking up, because it's always the same thing. It's like a small company, not enough time, and then suddenly you clamor for a bit of attention, you get it, and then there's no way that you have the kind of organization that can nicely funnel all that attention into something functional. But we try.
Well, tell me about the attention that you got. Did you get lots of people who were like, I want my Jaguar to have a motor in it?
It's a whole combination of things. I mean, a lot of people just really reaching out and saying like, hey, you guys are doing a great job.
That's awesome.
Keep it up, or thanks for like doing something inspirational. And I got to tell you that, that's just like manna, like to have.
Right.
And from that perspective, is much more come join the fun, because a lot of things about sustainability has been about can't do things.
Right.
So getting that response now really shows that there's a lot of people ready for this message. And it used to be a little bit different. It's either there was maybe the tree hugger aspect, or there was but otherwise there wasn't really much going on for electrics.
Well, talk to me about that, because in the beginning there was the Leaf, and the more boring cars, let's just say, right? And I think that's what got in people's heads, right? That like electric means, I have to, like you said, give up something. Compromise.
It's going to be a whole compromise. And a lot of this pushback, I think, is coming from, if the message is that gas and all combustion engines are bad and they're polluting, then the message is that people are doing the wrong thing. And that is immediately going to lead to a response like, heck no, I didn't even have a choice. Right. And now you're blaming me for stuff.
Yep.
I'm getting angry.
Yep.
So whatever you're saying after this,
I don't want to hear you.
I'm like all riled up, and I'm not going to like you.
Yep.
And so the message really has to be like, we all had no choice. We understand. Look at this cool new shiny toy, and then try and walk away from the past.
I love that. So it's okay that you owned a Jaguar.
Fantastic.
Now, as I was talking to some people in Belgium the other day, a friend of mine said that his father has a 1999 Stratus, Dodge Stratus, and it's sitting in the garage, can't do much with it, something's broken or whatever, but he loves the car. Obviously, I think everyone probably at some point or other has a car like that. Tell our viewers, like, what can be done with that 1999 Dodge Stratus?
Well, the reality is it doesn't need to go, and there's different ways of going. I mean, there's going to be us or some other places where you can basically drop off the car and the keys and come back and have her be fully electric, and that possibility is there. So it remains your 1999 car, your 1979 car. It's just that from the fuel code will go from B or D for benzene or diesel to E for electric. The
people I've talked to so far have said, no, laws are too strict, you can't do that.
Right. So there's the basic premise in a lot of countries is exactly that. And the reality is, and the nice thing is about being in the EU, we do still have a common market. So if somewhere there is a legal path to making a car electrically licensed, so we can, either foreign cars, we import them, or domestic cars, we convert them. Okay. Then we get them licensed as Dutch cars with code electric. Okay. And then there's really nothing that any country can do for stopping it being re-imported back into the country. Okay. So now it's an electric car. So of course you got to find some things with insurance, but basically there is always going to be a path to legal conversion. Okay. What we really hope to see is that as time goes forward, the public need and want for innovation and clean technology kind of catches up with the reality of legislation and certification and that kind of thing, and that over time that'll ease a bit. Right now, everybody that has a stamp is really afraid of stamping something approved, which down the line might cause any kind of harm or bad publicity. Gotcha. So they're really afraid of just rubber stamping all kinds of new technologies for worry that they don't understand enough, which is true, to be able to properly safeguard people. So the Volvo you see here is a 1979 U.S. edition 265
Okay.
GL. So that means it was built in Sweden for the American market, went to America,
Okay.
made some family happy.
Okay.
All,
Right.
all 70s and 80s.
Right.
Beautiful,
Kept
glory
them safe,
vehicle.
yeah.
Then it was imported to Holland in the 90s because getting them from America, probably if it had been in California or that kind of thing, is a thing because there you don't always have, all the salt on the roads in the winter.
Gotcha.
So the cars stay good, whereas here they rot away.
Oh.
So it was imported to Holland, probably somebody loved it, and it was already given a conversion, but to natural gas. So it had a gas tank in the back,
Okay.
and the motor was running partly on gas.
Okay.
Fast forward another decade or so, and now a gentleman falls in love with it and wants it electric. The guy's from Sweden.
Okay.
So we're now building it here in Holland, and it'll be certified and road legal because Sweden doesn't have a path to, converting yet.
Okay.
DEKRA is the road legal authority in Sweden.
Okay.
They don't have a protocol yet for how to do it.
Oh, but if it's legal
But
here,
if it's legal here, they said, not only will we not, be able to stop it, we're welcoming you, and let's then stand around the vehicle, and please could you defend and say how you, converted it in Holland? And I just
Gotcha.
said, great, because we have a UN prerogative, the EMC prerogative, R10-5, and we comply with that. And then we have an ECE, a Europe prerogative, the R100-01, the electric safeties, and we comply with that. And
Okay.
here's the whole documentation. And they'd like to see if this could be one of the few vehicles that can be a pilot prototype for how would we do this if it was in Sweden itself.
gotcha.
The nice thing for the vehicle itself, that since it was built in '79, which is also my build year, and it's now made a full circle through the States back to Holland, and it'll be going back home to Sweden, but now as a fully electric car.
Wow.
Which is really cool.
That is really cool.
And we've seen there's a lot of interest from Sweden because realistically, I mean, there's a lot of sustainability goals there.
Yep.
People are definitely tuned into that aspect. From just a car industry standpoint, relatively recently, all the industry was basically sold off. So Sweden has a history of loving cars and building them themselves. Yet no modern day way of being some pride of that, and there's a good way of keeping what we have and what we built in the past on the road.
Right.
We got to be making it electric. So it'd be nice if this car can be part of that.
That's so cool. Now, how long does a conversion like that generally take you guys?
What we did with this car is when it came in, we were still kind of working with our previous system, which was manual gearboxes and some different kind of batteries and that kind of thing. And we decided during the process, together with the owner and a few different ones, the Jaguar being the first, that we're going to fully automatic gearboxes with electric shifting. We're going to use Tesla batteries and a new management system. So there was a lot of innovation going on. So these cars that are here, they've been out with us for the better part of a year. Yet, if we know the car and we're putting in a system we've done before, so we have a couple of different locations, new electric conversions and stop horse. There, if we take a car that we've seen before, we've done this before, and we're certified, it can be a 3 to 4 month process.
Great. Do you have to design your batteries so that you do take advantage of
Absolutely.
nooks and crannies?
So we have certain standards, but you can see from this box, there's certain, we can get only so high and so wide because this is the absolute maximum that fits in the car.
Oh, okay. I see.
And we've seen on the Jaguar XK8 that's there in the back that we can't use Tesla batteries because the minimum shape of a Tesla module just foregoes the functional geometry of that car. So we're using a different type of battery because of volume constraint.
So there's so much knowledge that you're gaining from this because each car is different.
Yeah, we're trying to do the difficult, expensive work up front.
Right.
Because you can't, for every single project, say, well, all the development costs, have to be borne by the person using the vehicle. So we're trying to see, well, what is of value for us going forward, and can we do from a development. But oftentimes, it can, in this part of the industry, feel like you're occasionally paying people to drive away in a car. Because you spent so much time on engineering a solution.
Do you sometimes not want to give up the car when you're done?
Well, there's that. No, I'm always very happy to.
No, I mean, just like you might have fallen in love with it.
But you do have that, yeah. The reality is, I'm not that much of a car or even a boat guy.
Really?
I just see things as a big excuse to stick some batteries in. Yeah.
When we got to Amsterdam, we looked on the Plug surfing app, and we saw that there was, 1,000 chargers. Is that something that you felt has happened overnight, or has that been that way for quite a while?
No, look, it's been something that's been worked on. Amsterdam and Holland has definitely jumped on the reality that if you're going to have electric cars and electric economy, there needs to be infrastructure. You got to, I think, build the charge network first, and then have the cars come. You know, that's the regular order of things. And there's going to be some public, money in that. But for everybody who boo-hoos like, oh, that's subsidy of new technology, well, let me tell you that old school technology's got some sweetheart deals they don't want to talk about themselves. You know what I mean?
My only complaint about this wonderful city is, because I love everything about it, the way it's laid out, the bicycles, everything. My only complaint is, like every city, the smell of diesel.
Well, it's really strong, and I'll tell you, I mean, Amsterdam's got it bad. Paris has it a lot worse. London's got it really bad. When I'm in London and you take a walk down Oxford Street or something, Piccadilly or wherever, basically you can kind of physically get like black fingers and get it off you. You know, look, and everybody knows that running a combustion engine in a closed space, it's called suicide. So how's running all of these things next to each other going to be good for us? You know. That said, in 2016, we were already we won an award for like diesel replacement technology. Yet, our local city council is still running their old diesel garbage trucks circles around the playgrounds of my children. And from what we now know about asthma, and what we now know about pulmonary disease, what we now know about even certain forms of kidney cancer and other things, that they have very much to do with our bodies being polluted. And it's these tiny, 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 tiny little particulates that go through your blood barrier, even through your blood-brain barrier. And so this is starting that point where I am getting a little bit frustrated. That it's not just about, what's this thing about cost? Cost compared to what? Cost compared to what?
No,
I am seeing this thing where, okay, it's not just about fun and games and luxury cars anymore. It's about, let's not wait until every digger and every puller and every cleaner has an electric version, because it's going to take too long. And we're just going to be paying a few % profit to some factory in a foreign country most often, whereas we could be, repowering what we've got ourselves for a much bigger value add to our own economy.
Right. I mean, because you've got a Volvo there that proves that. It's decades old, and it doesn't need to be thrown away.
And it'll move a family around or bring a guy into town, and on its own, it does not offset that much of use. But building a whole new car for that same family that doesn't move around too much. That's 3 to 5 years of CO2 emissions that you would have not have had if you just reused the carcass. The diesel engines that do the jobs around town, and there's a lot of them, they pay themselves back much quicker because they're running 10 hours a day, not 10 hours a week. We're seeing that the most modern diesels, the Euro 5 and now the Euro 6 norm, there's certain cities in Berlin and in Stuttgart, I believe, other cities in Germany, correct me if I'm wrong, your viewers will know better than me, there's been a few recent court cases where judges have decided that even Euro 5 isn't allowed in certain streets. Because what have they found? This modern diesel after-burning technology, it burns so hot and so clean that what's left over has been burnt down to such a little crisp. It's the finest of the fine particulate matter.
Which is not good, right?
It's the worst thing. Euro 1 was almost wet. The particles were so big. You can cough that up. It doesn't look good. But that you're coughing it up, it's a good thing. That means it got caught in your mechanism. It's the tiny stuff.
The PM 2.5.
Straight to your blood. And if you're not careful, then it'll go straight to your brain. I mean, I'm from the generation, you go into a bar, 10 years ago, you could see about this far. And after that, there was smoke. And that changed in 10 years. Because suddenly we said, oh, wait a second.
Well, and that seemed insurmountable. I mean, that seemed like, how would you ever change that? So
if we click, and we say, wait a second. This stuff's not good for us. It's killing us.
Can we get you to run for Minister of Environment or something? Because I know you're too busy here, but...
No, well, look, I'll be honest. I mean, for me, I'm running a technology company, but I'm coming at it from a, this is functional for society point of view. And some level, I'm not sure if it's a city thing or a national thing or whatever, or just a, complain loudly about things kind of thing.
I love it. So
but I will be, as I am now, involved in, what kind of decisions are we making together.
All right, so
how are we going to take care of each other?
Can I be your campaign manager? Kloppenborg 2024?
Well, and maybe we'll be together in a campaign for somebody else. But whatever it is, we should be bringing this message. Because it's not just a technology message. It's a let's take care of each other message.
Yes.
And have so much fun doing it. I mean, it could be really great.
Exactly. It doesn't have to be a sad reality.
Look, and on a high note, the thing that helps, really make the sea change happen, and I hope it's not judges that say thou will not burn diesel close to a kid ever again.
Right.
But it could be that,
Mm-hmm.
and it should be also that. But it could definitely be that, like even in Dubai and other countries in the Middle East now, energy contracts for the next 20 years are being won by solar panels.
Exactly.
Because they're cheaper.
Exactly.
With all the sweetheart deals that you could stack on top of an oil pipe.
Right.
Still, for 20 years of megawatt hours, it's less cent per megawatt hour than it is. And that'll get it going,
Yeah. I mean, there's oil companies that are pumping the oil out of the ground using solar energy. So if they're doing it, then
every refinery of every liter of oil costs, more electric energy to refine the oil than that you could drive on that same, if you use that same kilowatts to drive the car, you'd go further. So we're seeing that there's a lot of points in this where it can start going really quick. And I did say 10 years ago, I said, just you wait, in about 10 years it'll go faster than you think. And I was wrong, because it went faster than I think.
Nice, exactly, right. Yes, that's the exponential curve.
Yeah,
it's so hard to predict it.
We're in there.
Yeah. All right, so there's big doors here.
You gotta see it.
Okay.
Proper bona fide Amsterdam Canal.
Nice.
Right now, no tugboat or speedboat here, but we have a very nice canal boat, and we have our little outboards. So we can take rides into town from here.
Oh, that's great. So tell me about the canal system in Amsterdam. Is it the kind of thing where it's actually usable? It's not just for tourists.
No, absolutely not. Look, historically, the reason the canals are there is because all the houses along the canals were little warehouses. The family had lived downstairs, but you have this little crane unit hanging from almost all the gables of all the fronts of houses in Amsterdam, and they were literally to get goods up and down and into the warehouses. So behind Central Station is a large body of water. It used to be connected to the Southern Sea. Now it's connected by canal to the North Sea, so you don't have to go all the way around. All the goods would come there in large ships. They would go by small ships into town, into different warehouses, and then again be distributed either through waterways or overland.
That's
so
awesome.
Amsterdam's been a hub transfer of goods and knowledge and service for over 1,000 years.
Wow.
And I really must say that's where our little part of the story ties in. We represent some new technology that can be found, with a little company in Amsterdam, and that's been a thing for 1,000 years. Like, we need something new. Let's find a guy in Amsterdam. Let's send him some doubloons or francs or whatever it was at the time, and let's expect something to show up. So that's been a cultural thing for a long time, and I do feel we tap into that a little bit. The other way around, sometimes it doesn't work as well, because my first motor, my first batteries, I bought a motor from Kostov Motors in Bulgaria, and they had a shipment of batteries from China that they would sell me some of the batteries from. So now I'm a guy in Amsterdam sending my only little bit of my little sack of euros, sending it to Bulgaria, hoping that a motor shows up and a battery show up, and there was no cultural history for me to tap into there. Find a guy in Bulgaria, send him some money. So it was exciting, but the reality is it came in. I still have video of me unboxing my very first Kostov motor, which is basically it's a forklift motor on steroids. But I'm like, now we're tripping over motors left and right.
Right.
But it's been a thing. So no, Amsterdam, the canal system, historically made for goods and services, and still now there's a resurgence. Like for the tugboat we did, it can bring building materials for a new bridge or a new quayside, and it can bring it into town, and it's the one boat doing many movements, of course, of barges in and out of town, can replace what they call 900 truck movements.
Wow.
So either 900 individual trucks, usually one truck coming in and out very often, but the truck is on a overused infrastructure. The road, it's standing still at we need stop signs everywhere because otherwise we're bumping into each other. There's so many of us. So we're standing still more than we're moving, and we're running engines. Whereas the boat, even if it was fully diesel, it'd already be green compared to the truck because it just moves there, puts the barge down, brings one out. Now the ones we're building can go, the part that they're in town, they can do it fully electric.
Okay.
So for local, pollution standpoints, we're at least the amount of pollution that comes from the boat won't be right where we're trying to breathe the air.
Gotcha.
So that's already a bit better.
Right.
And the next phase, we hope that the diesel generator is now a hydrogen generator, and we're working with that technology.
Oh, really?
As well. Yeah.
Wow.
So for certain, heavier industry, hydrogen as a, more condensed form of energy storage for all the inefficiencies that are there, and there's quite a lot to talk about, but there are functional examples where the volume and weight of the batteries that would be required, make the volume and weight benefit of the hydrogen system valuable. So
that's awesome.
Look, and if we're already working with big things that have big diesel generators, I'd rather work with hydrogen generators,
So when did you start your first tugboat conversion?
The project started probably 3 years ago because we were already at the time doing canal boats,
Okay.
which is a step down in power and need, but still on the same certification level. And then for about 2 years, up until the end of last year, we built our very first system. Number 2 is now in our facilities in Middenmeer.
Okay.
And we'll be going back in the water in about 2 months, I think.
Wow.
And then from there, we've done 2 versions, and then we hope to be speeding up, reproducing what we've done.
It just seems daunting to me to even think of doing something like that. Did you feel that when you went in, or are you so energetic that you're just like, let's go?
We have started many a thing that if we knew what the thing meant, honestly, as you're doing it,
you wouldn't have done it.
You wouldn't have started the thing, And I then imagine and dream that I will learn from this experience and next time not be so naive. But I never remember that until I'm already in the next thing.
And you're like, oh yeah.
What was I supposed to remember? Oh! To paraphrase, and not because we have delusions of grandeur, but we do these things because they're hard,
Yes.
Even though you're stressed sometimes, I know there's a future, and the thing that in those futures you think back on are the nostalgic times when things were hard.
Right.
And
we're
wired that way.
You moved the ball so far forward with that, because what you just took on with that little bit of naivete was that, like you said, you wrote novels and books of what you need, what the next people doing it need to know.
And probably more so than ever, even our ability to tell people about what we've done, just showing that a relatively small shop can on a certified level get a full working machine. Now, do I hope that we have some benefit from that, and we might at some point start doing the same problem twice or 3 times and making some money? Sure. But I already know that it's being seen that, if that little upstart can do it, then a larger company is almost shamed into not being able to say, well, it's too expensive or it's too difficult. Well, New Electric did it, and we're a couple of guys with a garage. With all respect to ourselves, but we're a couple of nerds with a garage, and some delusion of grandeur occasionally, and a battery and a motor, and it works. So if it works for us, and then at a bigger level, and bless him for doing that. Elon Musk does that to the Mercedeses and Audis of this world, because they were saying, we can't do it, it's all too expensive and stuff. No, you can't. It's like the Model S is a sexy car. Now the Model 3 is there. It's a mass market ready car. So
if there's a tugboat company out there though right now does it make financial sense too?
If your investment horizon is about 7 to 10 years, you will purely win it back from a diesel and a maintenance standpoint. Purely. But not everybody's investment horizon is 7 to 10 years. Often 4 to 5 years is king, maybe even 3 years. But you'll see now that you have an access to market. If you are the company that invests and gets your city council involved, and there's many, many cities that have harbors that have environmental zones in Europe, so if you're in Bordeaux, if you're in Barcelona, if you can hear me over there, in the back. But no, realistic, we can give you a European certified system and an example, and then you can tender for jobs, because tugboats don't work for themselves. They work generally for local city councils, they're doing the dirty job.
And you have one more selling point.
And you have a big one. And actually, you should be the only one allowed to do a certain job. Because you're the one that can go into that zone and do the work emission-free. Even if you have a diesel next to it, but you're only running that outside of town. So absolutely, yes. And the thing that we differentiate ourselves from other competition, we do retrofit of existing boats. Tugboats are small boats to begin with that have large power. it's difficult getting that amount of power and energy storage into small spaces,
Right.
you know? And the megawatt plus market is a different market. And the kilowatt market, but we do about 100 to 200 kilowatts of systems, replacing diesels from about 100 to 300 horsepower.
Okay.
And that's a lot of working ships, you know, and we can really give you a safe, certified solution for that.
And there's a lot of those ships out there that they probably will have an engine that's going.
Absolutely.
And it's the right time.
A ship, much more than a car, was made to see 2 or 3 engines in its lifetime. There's far too much value invested in the hull and the function. And from a certification standpoint, repowering a tugboat, it's going to cost them about 100, 150,000 euros. But now your tugboat is going. If you want to build one from scratch, just getting new built drawings approved is a couple €100,000. Then building it is going to be another $500,000. Then getting everything certified because it's being used for the first time. So your time to market and your price to market for a fully new electric solution, based compared with a conversion, it's going to be a no-brainer. Really.
That's so awesome. All right, so Anne just said that we can go for a little spin in the Jaguar. Of course, we're not going to turn that down. So how many kilowatts is it again?
So this motor itself is a 100 kilowatt peak system.
Okay.
About 45 kilowatt continuous.
Okay.
So even a heavy car like this, it can run 110, 120 kilometers an hour continuously without any problem. But it has a little bit higher peak for acceleration and some giggles. And,
some giggles.
Yeah, you gotta have the fun. So that's more than enough. And because we put it on an automatic gearbox.
And it handles well.
Yeah, mental note to yourself, don't crash the customer's car, right? But let me actually reverse it here, it's better.
Do you see why I was so excited to visit Anne? What they're doing at New Electric is so incredible. They are breaking new ground. They are making it so that the next generation of people who want to do this are going to be able to do it so much easier, because he's going through, I mean, do you realize all the technical things that he has to figure out to make that Jaguar run? It's not easy. It's not just like plopping in a motor and a battery. He had to figure out every single detail, and that is incredible. The brain power that it takes to do it, the enthusiasm, the energy, I'm just speechless after visiting him. I'm so glad that we got a chance to go to New Electric today. Thank you so much for coming along. Now you know. Thanks so much for watching Now You Know. We work hard to bring you videos about things that we think you'll find useful, but we need to know from you what you want to see, so leave your comments below. Also, don't forget to go over to our Patreon page, where for as little as $1 a month, you can watch our Patreon bonus story every week on Tesla Time News. Thanks again. We'll see you soon.